Hello, everyone. Welcome to Power Up with Joe Weaver, Shift Update, May 2024. Hope you all are doing well. We've had a lot of different things happening in the last 30 days. And I'm going to be going over a lot of that in today's update. These updates are a combination of information I've received, information I've gathered regarding real events that have happened and so on that assists with and sort of relates to the shift in consciousness of our collective self here on Earth. Tips and information that may assist you through this shift and connecting in with the levels of your own true identity and integration of yourself and so on. So a little bit of other information before we get into the update is a reminder that I offer coaching, personal coaching sessions, now offering what I'm sort of describing as a 24-hour energetic cleanse, and also a 2-hour coaching session that is combined with the 24-hour cleanse, and that's available to anyone around the earth, done over the phone or via video chat and so on. These sessions, you can say the coaching sessions, and combined with the energetic clearings and so on, could go into a lot of different topics and relate to everything that's going on with our personal transformation. Could be mastering, assisting with, giving you tips and techniques with mastering your thoughts to a greater degree, integrating more of your true identity, the connection you have with your I am presence, your divine self, and so on. Just working through, underlying fears that you are continually processing but not sure how to move beyond them. Just pretty much anything that relates to a lot of the different, people are getting into a lot of worry regarding different changes that are going on around the world, how to, live in harmony and balance in the midst of, all these changes that are taking place, and how these different things play out through the levels of ourself. We process information in different ways, not only mentally, emotionally, but we also process information through our physical body. And that's, goes into a lot of the stuff that I can assist, you all with, whoever's open to it. And, through that process of more self-realizing what's going on, identifying the patterns and changing those patterns, and so on. So that's a little bit about that. So now getting into this month's update info. The first thing on the list is the limitations of rules. This is a pretty in-depth topic. And the biggest thing regarding rules is their limitations. We impose, we'll start out pretty much talking about it on a personal level, and then we'll branch out to expand in some other ways. But the first thing is to look on a personal level how we create our own rules and how those rules over time become restrictions. Of course, we have certain rules. To give you an example, like we might have a physical allergy. If we eat something, we may have an allergic reaction to something. And therefore, we know that we can't eat that again because we have an allergic reaction. In a way, that could be considered a rule. We can't really do that again because this is going to happen. But the majority of the rules that I'm going to be discussing are something that we created, we believe, or is a mental process that is creating restrictions in our expansion and self-awareness. So one of the other examples regarding this is we have an idea of, I assisted this person in this way, and this was the result, and which wasn't necessarily, say, a good result. I assisted this person, and they didn't react in the way that I thought they would, or they weren't appreciative for whatever it is, and so I'm not going to assist or offer them any assistance going forward. When we make these types of rules within our awareness, it might not only affect going forward with that specific person, but in our subconscious mind, we have created this idea that if we do this for this person, whatever, a lot of times these same rules affect other situations with other people. So if you can imagine all the things that we go through on a daily basis, and we combine all these different rules and restrictions and so on over a period of years, we essentially, with these different rules, have created our own structure. These rules create the structure of our environment, of what we experience. Through our living awareness, we create our own prison within these levels of rules and restrictions. Such as, another one would be, I always feel this way when I am in a group of people. And that way might not necessarily feel very, say, connected or at peace or in harmony and so on. So the rule that you created is, I do not feel at ease in large groups. So once we created that rule, within our subconscious mind, it's continually replaying. It's replaying that same rule over and over and over. And therefore, what's most likely it's going to happen when you're in a large group, most likely you're going to have the same experience again because you have premeditated the scenario playing again. It's very similar to how people say, okay, I always get sick at this time of the year. I always get sick this time of the year. Well, there's a reason for the reason why you're getting sick at the same time of the year, and it's repeating. Any pattern that repeats, there's something going on that is sparking that repeat. And so if you, for example, are having the same experience in large groups, it's most likely because of a culmination of experiences that you've had since you were physically young. And over the years, you've had different experiences. But it doesn't mean that those experiences have to continue. It doesn't mean that you have to continually experience the same situation in large groups, or in this situation, or when you speak out, this happens. You very well could have been scolded for speaking out when you were a young child. And that programming stays within your subconscious. And therefore, over time, some of this could be tied into past other, lifetimes where you were demonized and or killed for speaking out. And that information is still within the levels of your awareness, and you haven't processed it yet to move beyond it. So my suggestion is, in order to truly expand, we need to let go of these rules and these self-regulations that we've imposed upon ourselves and are continually running within the levels of our own programming. To rewrite this programming, to create a new story, to create the new experience, it is possible. You just have to be willing to do it. That's the key. The moving into how rules can become restricted on a, collective level, that's pretty easy to see in this world today. The more rules and regulations and laws and so on that are written, they do not create more freedom in the world. Rules and regulations create more restriction. Anyone who thinks that creating more rules and regulations is going to create more freedom and or peace and harmony in the world is not truly comprehending what freedom and, peace and harmony truly is. A lot of, the ego mind thinks it always has to control. And we're moving out of that 3D philosophy of we have to control in order to have peace. And that's not how that works. We must have control because of fear of someone else or something happening that is out of our control. So therefore, when we need to have more control from these scenarios happening or whatever else. So it's an endless loop. It's just like the program that I was describing on a personal level is duplicated on a collective level. We create our own prison mentally. These mental creations are then projected into the world. The more of us that follow the same, program of more and more restriction, that's how we create our collective experience. So a lot of people would be like, wow, there's so many people living in fear in the world. How in the world could we truly move beyond this structure of self-regulation and this self-contained prison that we've created? From the way I see it is, you think about if only 10% of us truly started changing how we not only our own rules that we're imposing upon ourselves, and then we stop imposing rules and regulations on other people's and other people's freedoms and so on. If only 10% or even close to 10% of the population integrated this way of thinking and living, it would have a dramatic impact on the other 90%. So it's not that we need a large percentage of the population to truly make change. It's only going to take a small percentage of living in a new way to truly make long-term change. That's 1 out of every 10 people. 10 out of 100, and so on. It's a long way off from where we currently are, but it starts on a personal level, and then those same changes will be duplicated and projected out. So, true freedom, and for those of you that might know some of the videos that I've shared on Facebook, Osho, I can't remember exactly what he said, but truth, it's pretty much roundabout like this, is true freedom only exists in chaos. And our ego and so on be like, oh my gosh, chaos. We must have control to limit chaos. But is within true freedom, it's basically like chaos. But there's a beauty to it. It's all synchronized in a way. And, our world in a way is moving from what might be viewed like 50 years ago or whatever. Some people might think, oh, it was much more structured. There was less chaos in the world, even though that's the perception. Where now everything is like hitting the fan. But in a way, we have to have all this stuff of hitting the fan in order for us to break out of the patterns of this self-regulated creation that we've been living within. And therefore, we're moving out from all these rules and regulations into more synchronized chaos or synchronized. When I use the word synchronized, it doesn't mean everyone's on the same frequency or pattern. It means that how we're interacting with one another it's almost like a dance. We're dancing with our information, our actions, and so on. And it plays the game of a dance. No matter how crazy this dance may be and chaotic it is, we are moving out of, again, restriction, out of rules, into less rules. It's going to take time for us to move out of this processing of continual restraint, continual restriction, continual structure. But all I could say is, the less rules, the more freedom. Less rules, the more freedom. Try to look at that within yourself and what you got going on. So I spent a lot of time talking about that one, but it's a really important thing regarding our shift in consciousness and our collective experience. All right, that sort of moves us into the next thing. Balance is always restored. So you could say karma. Karma is a self-regulating, balancing mechanism. I came up with that phrase, several weeks ago. Karma is a self-regulating, balancing mechanism. We live within our own restraints until we move beyond these creations that we've made for ourselves. Karma, as a way, that assists us in truly seeing what we are creating. That's the whole thing about the self-regulating, balancing mechanism. We go through that on a personal level and also on a collective level. It goes well beyond this physical form. It goes into all of our other lifetimes combined. All the other lifetimes we've had within this existence, in one way or another, is tied into this self-regulating, balancing mechanism. There is no one out there imposing this balance upon us. And that's the reason why it says self-regulating, balancing mechanism. It's because there's no other, like some people say, God, or they view some kind of being or something in existence that is keeping up with the check marks. Good check mark, bad check mark. Good check mark, bad check mark. And you have more good check marks than bad check marks. And so that overrules the bad check marks and all this other stuff. We, within the levels of our own consciousness, keep up with these things that we have created and experienced and the choices we've made. That's the reason how forgiveness, self-forgiveness, and so on is so powerful, is because we are essentially coming to terms into harmony and balance regarding certain events or actions that we've created and lived, and we're holding on to that energetic imbalance. And how we create the balance out of that imbalance is through love, through, say, forgiveness and acceptance. And truly, sometimes that's the reason why we have to have other incarnations in other forms to truly learn the reason why we have been living through the same scenario over and over. We live through lifetimes, over lifetimes, sometimes trying to comprehend and truly feel out all of the edges of these different experiences to truly comprehend them. If we don't comprehend why we're doing something, or why, when we do this is the outcome, and so on, we're continually feeling out and experiencing other things to truly wrap our awareness around these experiences. And so, a lot of people say, well, they might view karma as a bad thing, but really it's not a bad thing. It's not bad or good. Look at bad or good. That's the dualistic view. So, this is becoming aware of, in order to truly reach and obtain, or say experience, more balance and harmony within ourselves, we have to come to terms with our creations. Truly look at all aspects. Don't push away anything. Truly embrace the things that we've experienced. If there is still trauma there, if there's still an experience of what the hell happened here? My computer's freaking out here. If we have these experiences, is to truly come to terms with things. And through that, we experience more harmony and balance. That's how it's the self-regulating mechanism. All right. Becoming real. I've mentioned this in other ways, in other videos, and so on. the more that we are truly integrating the levels of our multidimensional self through our physical body, grounding these levels of our existence through the physical body, the more real we become. We're moving out from the artificial into the organic, to the unreal to the real. And there's, from my experience and everything that I am seeing, the main way how to do that is through integration of the self. It's, I've posted videos and trying to make fun of different things or pointing out, how people give their power away to things outside of themselves, such as, the perception of, say, what they may view as an astrological event. It's not necessarily outside on another level, but it's saying that something is coming in that's outside of myself that's going to change me from where I am into something else. It's not that these astrological alignments and everything else are not real, because they are real. They do assist with different sparking different energetic, alignments is the only other word to describe this, that assist with change. But over everything else and all these other things that are going on in the astrological spectrum, the number one thing that assists with change is the integration of yourself, your true identity, through the physical body. It's not a mental thing to where you are, say, I can mentally connect with my true self and so on. What I'm describing is the physical integration of your true identity in physical form. That is, the more that we do that, the more real we become. Everything around us becomes more real. The real. So, anyway, one of the things that goes pretty much into the next thing is the spiritual trap. And we have a lot of these things within our awareness that we have been telling ourselves over time. Such as, you identify yourself as a spiritual person or whatever else. There are people that have identified me as a spiritual teacher, even though I have not describe myself or identify myself as a spiritual teacher. I don't even view the information I'm sharing with you here or that I've shared in the past as being spiritual. I don't see it as spiritual. I see what I am sharing as real. This is the real information of our true identity and tools and resources on how to integrate that realness of who we truly are. Our ego and our mental mind is always looking for some kind of identity. So let me just point this out here. And you can ask yourself this or feel what I'm getting ready to propose here. And see the reaction. Release all aspects of what you view as being spiritual. Just release it all. All these beliefs, all these things of, I've got to wear this certain type of clothes in order to, I be a spiritual identity. It's tied into that spiritual identity. I've got to go to church to identify as my spiritual self. I have to believe these beliefs, mental beliefs, in order that is tied into my spiritual belief system. I have to be spiritual, connect into spirit. Whatever you view spirit as. And so if you feel, when I'm just proposing this idea to release your spiritual identity, if you feel a sense of attachment, oh, I can't do that, I can't release my spiritual identity, then what will I have? That's what the ego says. That's what the mental mind says when these kind of situations are brought up. What the question will be within your mind is, and the ego will say, what will I have when I release this belief? That's key right there. If you get that thought within your awareness at that time, you know exactly where it's coming from. It's coming from your ego. It's saying, what will I have if I release this identity? What will I have if I release this belief? There will be a sense of nothingness. There will be a sense of, oh my gosh, I won't have anything. I won't have my identity. But the truth is, by releasing this restriction, in a way, you will have everything. Everything will open up. You will have greater wholeness. You will have greater connection. You will have expansion. Expansion. The expansion happens when we release these restrictions that we are imposing upon ourselves. Again, the choice within the mind at that specific moment of, if I release this idea, this way of thinking, this belief, then I will have nothing. So the choice right there at that specific juncture, am I going to experience freedom, or am I going to hold on to this attachment, to this way of viewing things? That's how we make the choice to expand or not, is through these self-imposed regulations, these rules, spiritual trap, the new age belief systems, and everything else create restriction. They're not expansion. Okay. So going into the next thing. God is always watching. So I was out somewhere, I don't know, a week or two ago, and there was this woman I was talking to on the street. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was just a random occurrence. And she was basically saying, no, I forget what the heck it was. It was, maybe we were giving money to someone on the street. That's what it was. Somebody was asking for money, asked her, and then asked me. I gave him some money, and she was saying, yeah, I try to give when I can, God is always watching, and so on. So that's the reason why I brought this up. There's a lot of people in this reality that are continually looking outside, that there is a being in some form that is always watching over them. And that's true. There are different beings, assistance team members, family members, all kinds of relatives that are continually keeping an eye on us. That of course, might have passed on many years ago, that still are within our, say, assistance team, and or sort of keeping an eye on us. But this whole thing about God watching over, is continually watching. It goes in sort of like the other things that I was describing in this month's update. There's and then sort of like the karmic self-regulating mechanism. We, of course, a level of our own God self is always watching. There's a level of our own God self. And I don't just use the word God by itself, unless it's combined with the word self. Because there's so many belief systems and there's so many perceptions in this world that view the word God as being a separate entity. But your true connection with your own God self, there is no separation. It's constant. It's always, your God self is always connected. So therefore, in a way, when you're talking about your own God self, yes, is always watching. It's always connected because it's another level of your own consciousness. It's like within a big sphere, we have other spheres of consciousness. Just all the way down to, say, our own ego is within the body, a physical body. And then we expand out. We have other levels of our being, expanded self. So it's all spheres within spheres of our own being, our own expanded wholeness that branches and connects out into everything. But there's no separate being out there that is watching and keeping track of what we are doing. Just like I mentioned regarding the self-regulating karmic game. We are the being in reality, and the realness is we are that being. We are always watching ourselves. We're always connected with ourself, just in different ways that we might not be aware of on a physical level. But that connection is always there. So, all right, moving into the next thing. Seeing the political game. So, I found this, it relates into the shift in consciousness that we are going through. And it's a good example. I had a family member a couple weeks ago mention that he now sees that there is manipulation on both sides of the political spectrum, both Democrat and Republican, that there is manipulation and corruption and so on both sides. This was a new perspective for him because years ago it was Democrat, or say Republican against Democrat and so on. It was one side against the next. The great thing about this example is that, he's not alone. There's a lot of the population that is now seeing that within these political parties, or whatever you wish to describe them as, There's corruption on both sides. There's manipulation coming from both sides. And a lot of times, the puppet masters are playing both sides at the same time to get what they want, get what they, to fulfill their own agenda. And so in order for the awareness to have come to the conclusion that there's manipulation on both sides. It's not one side versus another anymore. And more people are seeing that. In order for that perception and awareness to take place, expansion of awareness is what happened. That is the result of an expansion of awareness. That's a good example of expansion of awareness. Means that we see the game to a greater degree for what it is. That's what truly, expansion of consciousness is to see things for what's been already going on. This manipulation from both sides of the political game has been going on for a long, long time. It's nothing new. But the thing is, most people, for the majority of the time up until now, have only been picking one side. They've been saying, oh, I'm always Republican. I'm always Democrat. And we battle. That's just what we do. That whole game is dismantling. It's friggin' falling apart. The reason why it's falling apart, which is a good thing, is because people are seeing that the game is not what they thought it was. There is manipulation on other levels that go beyond this freaking structure that, again, used to be viewed as normal way, is totally dismantling. And that's, again, what's needed in order to move beyond the old system. So that's a great thing to have more and more in these examples of expansion of consciousness, more an expanded view of awareness of the game, of this dualistic game. All right, so moving into the next thing, increasing sun activity. In this past 3 to 4 days, we've had several different sun, blasts, CMEs, coronal mass ejections, coronal mass ejections. Excuse me. And there's different ways, I'm not going to get into specifics about what the heck happens with the sun specifically, but the main thing is sun activity has been gone. It's a cycle. The cycle that we're moving into is specifically interesting because the energetics of the earth, the magnetics of the earth are changing. And the main point that I want to point out is that the earth is not a victim of the sun's activity. The earth, in a way, and as something Drunvalo Melchizedek said many years ago that I heard him say, it's that the earth, when the earth is ready, the sun responds. Similar to the feminine and the male aspect. In a way, when the earth is ready to receive, the sun responds. So the earth, in a way, is the instigator, in a way, that is allowing this change to take place. And this burst that we've had over this past 3 to 4 days and so on, from what I am gathering, is just the beginning of more and more sun activity, more and more, say, what could be described as solar storms, it's just the beginning. But again, to not allow your mental awareness to go into fear. Don't go into the old patterns of, I must shield. You know, if when the sun activity is high, I always feel like this. Remember, that's a good example of, I always get sick at this time of the year. There's no difference there. Let go of all those perceptions, all those rules, all those beliefs. And when we have high sun activity like this, truly try to breathe with the energetics that are coming in. Welcome them. Sort of like embrace. Feel connected with the actual energetic shifts that is taking place, in the magnetic shifts that are taking place with these energetic influxes that are coming in. This solar plasma, in a way, is changing the magnetics of the earth. It's changing the magnetics of our own physical being, changing the energetic structures that we know as this reality is the sun's activity is going to be assisting with this whole change. It's working in simultaneous conjunction with the earth's will to change, our will to change as humanity, along with the sun's activity, all works together to create change. So any perceptions that come in your awareness of, we must shield, or fear or worry regarding these sun's increased activity over the coming years, because this is going to be many years going forward, especially in the next 5 years, from what I'm getting, that it's going to be a lot more sun activity. We might have more and more situations where our infrastructures might be affected by the sun's activity. But to know, no matter what happens with the physical structures of our infrastructure of, say, the internet going down, and phone service, satellites, power structures, or whatever, no matter, beyond all that stuff, that is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's small compared to the greater change that is taking place here. It's incredible, the incredible change that is taking place here. So when all this change and this sun activity and everything else, again, try to breathe with it. Release all these worry and stuff, and be one with the energetics that are taking place. Be one with the magnetic changes. Be one with the solar activity. Release these ideas that, well, when this happens, I always get tired. I always have to drink more water. I have to do these things. There's nothing. Let go of the premeditated ideas and just be open. Breathe. Relax. Be one with the changes. Okay, so the last part here. Be the change. So I'm going to give an example starting off talking about this, be the change. The ego, as I described through this update, the ego likes identity. Also the ego and our mental mind likes to do things. Continually, our mental mind thinks it needs to do things. It doesn't truly know how to be. It's when we let go of doing is when we start to truly be. When we let go of all these false structures and so on, self-imposed rules, that's when we start to be. We start being more than doing. And this goes also into a lot of people that do energetic work, energetic healing, energetic clearing, and so on. So I'm going to give this example. Years ago, I was facilitating a new paradigm masterclass. And I had a couple people in there that were trained to adjust people's chakras. And if they would see that, one direction of a chakra spinning is right and another direction is wrong. And when they came across someone's chakra that was spinning in what they viewed as the wrong direction, they would try to spin it in the other direction to correct what they view as right or wrong. In the same way, there's a lot of people that view, chakras have to be certain colors. This chakra right here is supposed to be yellow. And if it's not yellow, then I'm going to try to change it to yellow. These types of beliefs or some of these people are trained in this way because they believed the people that are telling this information is correct when it's not correct. There is no right or wrong spin of a chakra. As our energetic systems change, the chakras spin in different directions according to what level of integration we're going through. The same thing goes for the colors. The colors change through the integration of our multidimensional self. So there is no right color. There's not a specific color that is right for one chakra because it changes. And it goes back into what I started saying at the beginning. The mental mind likes to do things, continually thinks that we must do things. Instead of just radiating love without conditions, Mahatma or Shambhala, onto the person that you're working on and allowing the energies to go where they need to go and adjust and integrate where they need to integrate. The mental mind is always, I have to do something. The same thing goes into this, the proposed idea that I've been talking about at 11 past the hour of radiating love without conditions, or Mahatma or Shambhala, to all beings in all forms around the planet and all levels of the earth. I've been doing this now for going on a couple months. I've been talking about it in different videos and so on. Basically, it's a matter of being in that space. A lot of people, however, might take this at this time and we say, well, I must, again, and this is an example, I must put the intention that this is cleared or this is activated or these changes are taking place according to, again, the perception. And that is a level of doing. That's the mental mind continually thinks, I have to adjust this. I have to adjust this. I have to adjust that. When I go to a certain region of the earth, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to go do this. I have to adjust this. I need to clear this. I need to activate this. I need to do all this other stuff. Again, that's a lot of doing. But what matters the most is who and what we are. The vibration that is flowing through our physical being is the most important thing. That's the being part. Being, when we are being the energy of love without conditions. We are being the energy of Mahatma. We are being the energy of Shambhala. The energy just radiates. It goes where it needs to go. It adjusts as it goes. We don't mentally need to make these adjustments and have these intentions. Just allow it to flow without conditions. The same thing for this 11 after the hour portal of change that I've sort of describing it as. It's a portal of focus, and just focus on, instead of telling another level of your being, say, I am presence, do this. Again, doing. If all you're saying is, I am presence, do this. Divine self, do this. God self, do this. Archangel Michael, do this. Assistance team, do this. We're at that point, we're just being a mediator of doing things. You're not really being anything. You're just doing things on a mental level. If, there's a reason why we're physically incarnate. We have a physical being. We're a physical being for a reason. It's not to be the mediator of telling all these other beings and levels of ourself what to do. It's a matter of us truly being the energies of change, being the energy of our I am presence, allowing that information to flow, being the energy of our divine self, our God self, being the energy of the cosmic light and love of Source, being it, being the vibration of it, allowing it to flow through our energetic system, powering up your energetic systems, feeling the energies running, sending it out, such as at 11 past the hour, to the whole of the earth, to all beings of the earth, in all forms, without conditions, all levels of the earth, and so on. We're actually experiencing it. We are sending it out. We are feeling it. We're sensing it. We're grounding it. That is being. Let go of all these other perceptions of doing. I have to do this. I need to adjust that. I need to tell this being to do that. I need to tell all this other stuff. Let it go. Let go of all that. Again, identity of beingness. There's certain situations where we can make adjustments. But again, the key and the number one priority is being. It is not doing. So, hope that clarified that. And I invite you all to be the highest vibrational, energetic form that you're able to be every day. And if you connect and align with sending energy out to the whole of the earth, to all beings in all forms without restriction, then do that at 11 past the hour, every hour that you might be awake during the day. It doesn't have to be serious, as I've mentioned before. It's just a matter of focus. When you run this energy of pure love without conditions, Shambhala or Mahatma, through the energetic systems of your being, it has a dramatic impact on your own light quotient, on your own continuous level of vibration. I've experienced this over these past months. It's been major. It's been a major change for me on a physical level. And I invite you all to do this going forward whenever you can. And yet again, it's not a It's just an option. It's just a choice. But if you're going to do it, my suggestion is to be, not to do. Be it. All right, my friends. I think that's it for this update. I remind you, if you're interested in any type of personal coaching to assist with these changes that are currently taking place on the earth and you're going through, to releasing any of these thought patterns, these restrictions that are going on, and or energetic clearing and so on, I'm here. I'm offering these services. Contact me through my website, joe-weaver.com. Information's in the description below. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. In the next 30 days, in this next month, see what happens. Just embrace it. Be it. And we'll see you. I'll see you in the next one, my friends. See you in the next one. Cheers.